The late night grind, the university stress. I brawn versus a spray. Versus spray. With Cree and on.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive, broadcasting live from the Academy of Magic. I'm Cree Wildshape, aspiring mage, resident theorist, and the brains trying to keep this delicate operation running smoothly.
And I'm Arn, barbarian trainee at the Academy of Fighters. The brawn. Don't worry, the gear's working. That's the main thing.
It is indeed working, though I do apologize if the visual feed flickers at all. The telecrystal mirror setup is, as always, a bit jury-rigged.
Looks fine to me.
And we've got the illusionist band mic hovering here. It's a delicate, arcane structure, and we're dealing with information sensitive enough to potentially short out the whole network.
Too much fuss about a few crystals. It delivers the content, and that's what matters.
Exactly. And today, we are jumping right back into one of our most popular subjects. We are revisiting the infamous Expeditionary Society.
The group we looked at before, yeah. Adventure meets business.
Right. But this isn't just going over old ground. This is a deep, deep dive. We've received a massive new cache of documents. Trafalgar Newgate, the founder, he sent us a highly detailed letter of clarification.
Right.
Plus the extensive expedition logs. And these logs chronicle every decision, every skirmish, every spell they cast, from to a Tribord trail right through to the successful extraction from Cragmaw Castle.
So we've got the real story now, not just the marketing.
Our mission today is threefold. First, we need to forensically analyze the tactical decisions recorded in these logs. Second, we have to confirm and understand the true frightening scale of the conspiracy orchestrated by the shadowy figure known only as the Black Spider.
And third, the fun part.
And third, and perhaps most enjoyable, we need to address Trafalgar's direct and rather pointed critique of our previous analysis. Specifically, his insistence that we overlooked the most crucial element in any successful heroic endeavor.
He thinks we missed the big picture. Well, let's see if his logs back up his philosophy. Okay, let's get into it.
But first, let's set the stage by looking at the reality on the ground, two recent field reports from the latest issue of the Action Surge.
Now, this is proper news. Issue 8 just dropped, and the coverage of the Iron Fists was phenomenal. You read about their push against the Warlords camp, yeah?
I did, and it was certainly effective in the bluntest sense of the word.
Effective. It was brawn triumphant, mate. The Iron Fists were hired to clear the camp. They didn't bother with sneak attacks or delicate spell work or parley.
No, they did not.
They charged. The Action Surge emphasized their cold, calculated precision, hitting every defensive post simultaneously with just overwhelming force. They achieved a zero survivors victory.
Chilling phrase.
That's the result of unwavering discipline and raw power. They neutralized the threat and secured the site in under an hour. That is true. Efficient effectiveness. That's how you get the job done, period.
But I must immediately counter that brutal efficiency, Arn, by looking at the Arcane Alliance, who also got major coverage. While the Iron Fist secured the most gold, the Arcane Alliance, well, they secured the most valuable victory, even though their mission looked like a failure at first.
Failed is the right word. Their entire zero-contact infiltration strategy just dissolved into chaos the moment they hit the perimeter.
It did look that way initially.
They were spotted immediately, forced into a desperate, messy brawl. Their robes were singed, their wands charred. It looked like a total tactical collapse. They had to use every last spell just to escape.
But what was the core objective? See, it wasn't treasure, it was intelligence. They were infiltrating a cunning, evil mage's fortress. And they used their wits and superior knowledge of arcane defenses to barely escape, yes. But they secured vital intel confirming the mage's allegiance to a powerful lich overlord.
So they got a piece of paper.
They learned the target's ultimate purpose.
What good is intel if you nearly die getting it and then can't act on it because you're all nursing burns? The Iron Fist got the gold, cleared the threat, and got to the pub immediately afterward. Your lot got a scorched parchment and a hospital bill.
But if you stop a lich overlord from achieving apotheosis, you save infinitely more lives than if you just clear a localized bandit camp. The Arcane Alliance proved that strategic information gathering, even under duress, is sometimes a far greater long-term win. It demands patience and long-term thinking, not just raw power.
Fine. But when the Lich starts sending minions after your Arcane Alliance, They'll wish they had a few more iron fists handy.
And speaking of strong opinions, we need to address the article that ran right after those two reports. An insult hurled from the pages by Julian Blackwood, senior correspondent.
That Julian Blackwood is a windbag. He thinks he knows everything because he watches a lot of fighting.
He dedicated an entire piece titled, "A Word to the Armchair Analysts," and while he didn't name us, the target was, well, it was pretty clear.
He says our analysis is worth less than the lint in a goblin's pocket. That's not just rude, it's an intellectual attack on academic endeavor itself.
He fundamentally dismisses those of us who dissect the hard-won victories from our academic seats. He specifically attacks our critique of tactical inefficiency and wasteful spellcasting. He views heroism as a messy, bloody business and not some puzzle to be solved in a textbook.
And there is a point there, you know. When you're staring down a hobgoblin with a great tax, you don't sit there calculating the optimal damage per round.
Of course not.
You rely on muscle memory and raw power. The plan lasts until the first punch is thrown.
But that's precisely why we analyze the logs after the chaotic event,
Right.
to refine that muscle memory. Blackwood implies that we who seek elegant solutions don't understand the price of victory. But surely, understanding the optimal strategy minimizes that price. It increases the survival rate.
He's just angry at the idea that combat efficiency and heroism can be studied and improved upon. He thinks if it bleeds, it leads, and anything else is just ivory tower nonsense.
Well, we are going to prove him wrong today by diving into the meticulous logs of the Expeditionary Society, showing that analysis and structure are essential for long-term survival, even when faced with complete chaos.
Exactly.
Precisely. But first, let's quickly ensure our listeners are well-fed and mentally prepared.
Right, time for a word from our sponsor.
We are sponsored today by the Arcane Pantry. Let's be honest, whether you're stuck studying late at the academy or deep in a dungeon, you're probably tired of boring, nutrient-lacking rations.
Absolutely. Trying to force down dried meat and hardtack when you're freezing your toes off trying to start a campfire is just miserable. It kills morale, which is crucial for a fighting unit.
The Arcane Pantry solves this by providing a weekly meal subscription service tailored for the adventurous lifestyle. They deliver pre-portioned, magically preserved ingredients and simple, fast recipes straight to you.
So you can have a decent meal without being a master chef.
You can have complex, morale-boosting meals even with just a basic campfire spell. This ensures you maintain peak physical and mental fitness on the trail, avoiding the fatigue and nutritional deficits of basic travel rations.
It's not just a nice thing, it's smart tactical management. Keeping your fighters fighting fit is a strategic investment in your valuable assets, your entire adventuring party.
It truly is. They focus on maintaining high morale with food that tastes incredible, not suspiciously like boot leather. If you are ready to upgrade your trail diet, visit the Arcane Pantry. Use code AcademyLive81 for a 15% discount on your first order.
Right, good stuff.
Now let's get into the deep stuff.
Before we proceed to the main event, the detailed logs of the Expeditionary Society, we do need to issue our required content warning.
Yes, we will be discussing sensitive information concerning a core member of the Society, a fellow whose history demands discretion and protection. So we will continue to use the cover name we established last time
This shifty fellow.
to protect his identity and security.
He is the halfling rogue, Andric Foghans. And as Trafalgar will point out later, he's a master of discretion.
And as an additional measure to protect both ourselves and you, the listener, we are running a subtle but powerful suggestion spell in the background, provided by instructor Arturo Fonlini.
He's a canny wizard, that one. Very protective of the Academy's secrets.
The spell is designed to gently make listeners forget any specific sensitive details, particularly regarding any unauthorized access to our restricted library, or perhaps any mention of certain black robes. We are committed to transparency, but we also uphold the spirit of non-disclosure required for this deep dive.
We have to warn you, though. If you are sensitive to enchantment spells, or you worry about having your noggin frying, maybe take a break here.
We have to be vague, but we are dealing with high-level espionage and academic security issues.
Let's assume the enchantment is working and move swiftly into the heart of the matter. Trafalgar Newgate's philosophical challenge and the logs themselves.
Right. Let's get to the meat of the mission. Trafalgar's letter, addressed to us, starts with praise, affirming that the Society is a visionary enterprise built on robust professionalism. Democratic elections, comprehensive health insurance, a clear profit-sharing structure.
A good start.
He agrees with our assessment that it is a structured business model for heroism.
But then he brings in the philosophy.
Yes. He says that the structure is merely a framework. It's not about optimizing profit or minimizing damage. It's about fostering a one-for-all and all-for-one camaraderie. He insists the Expeditionary Society is truly a family, one that simply manages chaos with effective structure.
That sounds like a rich man's way of saying, when the contract fails, we fall back on feelings.
Well, he argues that when meticulous plans go sideways, which they almost always do in the face of dragons or unexpected drow agents, you need a spot of flying by the seat of one's pants, and that requires trust.
Fair enough.
Now, here is his core critique of our previous brain versus brawn model. He calls it academic and rigorously structured, but argues it overlooks the key element that defines lasting heroic impact.
And that is
Theatrical flourish, audacity, and spectacle.
the bard's bluff, as I called it. The ability to pull a massive stunt.
He argues this quality transcends mere stats or battle logs. It's not about how many enemies you cleave, it's the gravity-defying swinging from the chandeliers that turns a mundane, successful skirmish into a legend worthy of being sung in taverns for generations.
So the story is more valuable than the truth of the action.
Precisely. And this is where I have to push back hard. He openly admits to imaginative truth embroidery regarding the Cardus Firebeard story.
Oh yeah, the candle.
The drunken candle incident became a dragon fight. While I appreciate his candor, this deliberate manufacturing of reputation fundamentally undermines any objective analysis of heroism. If the logs are being manipulated for brand management, how can we trust the data?
But look at the result. Cardus is now famous as Firebeard, and the society gets a strong reputation for dealing with massive threats. It's effective marketing. And if you're a group that relies on reputation to get high-paying contracts, that strategic deception is invaluable. It's a canny business decision, even if it is a bit slippery.
Now, what about the moral cost to the man at the center of the lie? We'll come back to Cardus, the paladin, because that's a deep tension in this company.
Right.
Trafalgar also felt compelled to defend his teammates.
Yasid, the tiefling warlock. I called his powers creepy because they rely on infernal contracts.
Trafalgar defends Yasid, explaining that his powers are simply a frontier of arcane knowledge, yet to be charted by traditional guilds. He confirms Yasid's patron, the Jinn, is chaotic good.
Oh, really?
He says this patron, while mischievous and shaping, demands a steadfast adherence to the more righteous and moral alignment of the cosmos.
A chaotic good entity demanding righteousness. That's a complicated relationship, but it does mean Yasid isn't secretly plotting mass murder, which is good for the company's insurance policy. I'll take it.
And he defends the shifty fella, calling him a master of discretion and, rather charmingly, a veritable maestro of the culinary arts.
Troop morale is important. A good meal can turn a defeat into a successful retreat. But Trafalgar stresses the rogue's subtlety in delicate operations, and we saw that in action immediately on the trail.
Let's move to Phase 1, the Phandalin Road, detailing the action around the Cragmaw hideout. The Society was hired for a simple supply escort mission for Gundren Rockseeker.
And that went sideways within hours.
The expedition log for the Tribord Trail encounter notes their progress was abruptly halted by 2 dead horses blocking the path, each bearing several black feathered arrows.
The calling card.
That detail is important. The arrows are custom-made, bearing black fletching, an identifying marker of the goblin ambush party.
They neutralized the 4 lurking goblins, but the critical observation was the evidence that Gundren and Sildar had been dragged away. The immediate decision was the first great strategic move.
To ignore the supply delivery.
And pursue the kidnappers. Smart.
And the motivation, as you noted, was a perfect blend of loyalty and finance. They had a pre-negotiated goblin neutralization bounty in their contract.
Loyalty gets them moving. Money pays for the supplies they abandon.
They tracked the kidnappers 5 miles along a rough path, successfully navigating traps.
That's the utility of the rogue right there. Avoiding unnecessary injury before the fight even begins. That's efficiency.
Their initial vigilance at the Cragmaw hideout paid off, allowing them to surprise and interrogate 2 goblin guards. This is where they struck intelligence gold.
This changes everything.
The captured goblin confirmed the leader was Clark, reporting to King Roll at Cragmaw Castle. But the big reveal was the orchestrator.
The Black Spider.
The Black Spider ordered the capture of Gundren and the seizure of his map to Wave Echo Cave. We need to pause here and stress the scale of this threat. Why is Wave Echo Cave so important?
It's not just a big hole with some gold. Wave Echo Cave is the site of the legendary Lost Mine of Fendelver.
And the true prize within that mine is the Forge of Spells. This forge was created by ancient dwarven and gnome magic, giving the original settlers the ability to enchant and mass-produce magical items.
Think about that.
A repeatable, scalable source of powerful magic items. If the Black Spider, a known criminal mastermind, gains control of that forge,
They could equip an entire army of nefarious agents with enchanted gear. It would destabilize the entire region.
exactly. The mission instantly escalated from rescuing a supply runner to preventing a global power shift. That's why the Black Spider orchestrated this high-level attack.
So, on to the combat.
Now let's look at the combat log within the hideout. This was a methodical, brutal clearing operation.
First, the 3 chained wolves. The purpose of those wolves wasn't to fight. It was an early alarm and a bit of psychological warfare. They were dispatched quickly. Then, the water cavern fight.
The logs note the difficulty in the water cavern. The cold, the darkness, the uneven terrain. It meant the party had to light torches, which gave away their position and forced disadvantage on several attack rolls.
So the environment was a weapon against them.
This encounter illustrates how quickly environment can negate preparedness. They were forced to burn resources just to stabilize the area.
Clarg's cave was next, where the looted provisions were recovered. Clarg, his wolf ripper, and 2 goblins were defeated. A combination of ranged strikes and brute force to drop the bugbear leader. A tactical win, but resource-heavy.
This brings us to the rescue and the ransom. They cross the rickety bridge and enter the Goblin Den, where Yimik, the second-in-command, had grabbed Sildar Hallwinter.
Right, the hostage.
Yimik tried to leverage Sildar, a member of the powerful Lord's Alliance, for a ransom to take over the hideout.
This is where Trafalgar deployed his charm, the nascent Audacity. He pretended to negotiate, drawing Yimik's attention while his crew positioned themselves for the final attack.
The decisive engagement resulted in the death of the remaining goblins, but not before Yimik shoved Sildar over the upper level. He suffered a nearly fatal fall. The log confirms he was stabilized right there with a health potion.
And you just know Cardis, the paladin, was likely furious here.
You can almost feel the tension in the log entry.
The negotiation was deceptive. It led to a friend nearly dying. Even if the immediate goal was achieved, Sildar rescued, 50 gold pieces secured for the escort to Phandalin, the means were chaotic and nearly cost a life.
A total victory in Phase 1, but one stained by deception and near tragedy.
Okay, Phase 2, the Red Brands.
Moving swiftly to Phase 2, the Red Brand menace in Phandalin. The town was peaceful on the surface, but clearly suffocating under extortion and fear. Sildar's first goal was finding his contact, Jarno Albrecht, sent by the Lord's Alliance to establish order.
But the immediate problem was Glassstaff and his Red Brands. They had just committed a brutal crime.
Right.
Murdering woodcarver Theldendrar and kidnapping his family. That's a direct threat to the town's security and morale.
The society spent the day gathering leads, meeting former adventurer Darren Ettermath, the wounded sister Garaele, and the influential Halia Thornton, guildmaster at the Miners' Exchange. They learned the Red Brands used the ruined Trezendar Manor as a base.
Right.
And Quelyn Alderleaf's young son, Carp, had found a secret entrance.
The tactical situation escalated that night. 4 Red Brand ruffians accosted the society, demanding tribute. You don't shake down an adventuring party and expect to walk away.
The log notes the society's response was immediate. Arn, this is where your appreciation for sheer force comes into play.
Let me guess.
Yasid's Eldritch Blast immediately turned one of those ruffians into a mist of blood.
Brilliant. That is effective communication. When you're dealing with cowards who only understand power, you need a brutal demonstration of force to show them they picked the wrong fight. That single moment galvanized the local resistance and made the Red Brands an immediate priority. They had drawn first blood from the wrong people.
This led straight to the assault on Trezendar Manor, using Carp Alderleaf's secret tunnel. The log paints a chilling picture, emphasizing the decay. The atmosphere was dominated by a cold breeze, the scent of decaying flesh, and this massive underground crevasse spanned by 2 bridges.
They systematically cleared the manor. 3 bugbears tormenting a captured goblin named Droop sorted. 4 Red Brands in the common room cleared. They were methodical, leaving no enemy standing.
In Glassstaff's workshop, they confirmed the brewing of potions of invisibility, which indicates a high level of dark magical commerce. A figure, presumably Glassstaff, fled through a secret door, barely escaping capture.
But they got some intel.
They did. They recovered Ermin's journal, detailing the history of the lost mine of Phandalver and the Forge of Spells, which provided essential context to their mission.
But the truly devastating discovery was the holding area. They found Myrna Dendrar and her 2 children fitted with iron collars, destined for sale into slavery. They killed the 2 Red Brand guards instantly.
The emotional stakes were highest here. Myrna, rescued from slavery, provided the lead to her family heirloom, an emerald necklace hidden in the ruined town of Thunder Tree.
Before they could fully process that rescue, they hit the major environmental threat in the dungeon: the crevasse.
While crossing, a chilling, insane voice entered their minds: the Nothic. This subterranean horror, which was the source of that decaying flesh scent, telepathically demanded they give it back.
Now, this is a fascinating nugget of lore we need to examine. What was the Nothic referring to?
Well, Nothics are creatures of insane curiosity. They're often drawn to powerful, often forgotten artifacts. It's highly likely that this monster was either guarding something crucial for Glassstaff, or that Glassstaff stole something from it.
So it's connected to the main plot.
Given that they found the journal detailing the history of the Forge of Spells, the Nothic may have been referring to the dwarf maps or perhaps some precursor artifact related to the Mai's power.
It connects the mundane Red Brand threat directly to the grand conspiracy. Glassstaff wasn't just a bandit chief. He was actively researching and likely guarding a key element that the Black Spider needed for Wave Echo Cave.
Precisely.
The Nothic was defeated and promptly beheaded as a trophy. Good work. And finally, the ultimate confirmation of the conspiracy was discovered in Glassstaff's quarters. The letter from the Black Spider addressed to Lord Elbrecht, signed Iarno.
A staggering betrayal. Glassstaff is Iarno Ulbrich, Sildar's missing contact from the Lord's Alliance, the highest level of infiltration.
And the Black Spider knew the society was coming. Strangers are due to arrive in Phandalin, and ordered Iarno to capture or kill them to seize the maps. The threat is not just external, it's deeply embedded in the established authorities.
Okay, so the Red Brands are shattered, but the overarching threat is now confirmed to be actively hunting them.
Which takes us right into phases 3 and 4. Dragon diplomacy and audacious escape, where Trafalgar's theory about Audacity gets its biggest, most dangerous test. They needed to recover the heirloom for Myrna, which meant a detour to Thunder Tree, a ruined village crawling with strange creatures.
The journey to Thunder Tree, a 3-day journey, was a costly diversion. The society was ambushed repeatedly by twig blights, small, animated, woody creatures, and shambling ash zombies. The logs noted that they were forced to retreat after a particularly nasty encounter with 8 twig blights and a giant spider.
They were burning resources they didn't plan on.
Exactly. Tactical inefficiency born of necessity. This is where we see the stress on the company. They were wounded and had to seek refuge in the one intact building, the Druid's house.
And in that house,
They found Radith, the Druid, who offered them the location of Cragmaw Castle only if they dealt with the immediate massive threat: the young green dragon, Venom Fang, who had claimed the old tower.
another massive moral dilemma for Cardis. Their objective is Gundren, not dragon slaying. But they needed the intelligence. They agreed to the deal and attempted to parley.
A bard, a warlock, a paladin, and a rogue trying to negotiate with a green dragon. I can only imagine the terror. Predictably, it failed spectacularly.
Of course it did.
It led to a fierce battle. And here is a crucial tactical analysis point. Venom Fang, despite its strength, proved unwilling to fight to the death. After the society inflicted significant focused wounds, the dragon chose the pragmatic option and fled its lair.
That's a win for Brawn, hitting it so hard it had no choice but to retreat. But it's also a win for resource management. They didn't have to kill the dragon, which would have depleted them entirely. They just had to convince it that staying wasn't worth the trouble.
They looted the dragon's abandoned hoard. They found the usual collection of silver and gold, but crucially, they acquired 2 artifacts: a scroll of lightning bolt, which is always useful, and Hue, a +1 battle axe that deals maximum damage against plant creatures and wood.
The logistics of war. That axe, Hue, is the perfect counter to the very enemy that was ambushing them on the way there: the twig blights. They acquired the perfect tool for the job they had just completed and for the rest of their journey through the woods.
And of course, they successfully recovered Myrna's heirloom, the 200 Dream Pea emerald necklace, fulfilling their promise and reinforcing the family loyalty Trafalgar preaches.
So then they went straight for the castle, right?
Then came the highly calculated strategic move. Instead of rushing immediately to Cragmaw Castle, they took a deliberate detour to Neverwinter to re-equip.
They paused the main quest to address logistics. The log shows they spent over 1,000 gold pieces acquiring crucial items: a +1 rapier for Trafalgar, a ring of protection, and other specialized gear. This decision directly mitigates the risks they were about to face.
They prioritized preparedness over haste. They knew they were facing a full Castle King Groll hobgoblins, a drow agent. To go in wounded and resource depleted would have been suicidal. This detour confirms the society operates with true business structure, strategic investment in their most valuable assets.
Themselves.
Exactly.
Finally, the assault on Cragmag Castle. They located it deep in Neverwinter Wood and secured a stealthy entry via an unmanned southern gate, neutralizing 2 hobgoblin guards without raising the alarm. Smooth.
And now the crowning moment of Trafalgar's philosophy, the audacious escape.
Trafalgar enters the room to find King Groll, the bugbear chieftain, and a female drow agent of the Black Spider. The trap is sprung, the entire conspiracy laid bare. Any rational person would have thrown a fireball and attempted a desperate exit.
But not Trafalgar. The log entry for this encounter is almost unbelievable. Trafalgar spun a spontaneous tale, claiming the Black Spider was displeased with previous underlings and that he and his party were the new approved replacement.
You're kidding me.
He used sheer audacity and flattery to convince Groll to release Gundren Rockseeker immediately.
Gundren was safe, the Black Spider's agent was confused, and the entire situation was diffused by pure, unadulterated guts and charm. I still maintain I prefer an axe to a smooth voice, but I cannot deny the efficacy here. It achieved the result faster and cleaner than any bloodshed could have.
Yasid's log entry is the best commentary. He noted the confusion on everyone's face, including Trafalgar's, was genuine. I analyze this as charisma par excellence. He leveraged Groll's known subservience to the Black Spider against him.
End result.
Gundren is safe, and the Society is preparing to head for Wave Echo Cave the very next morning. They walked into the heart of the conspiracy, took the prize, and walked out alive using nothing but a lie and some fast talking. A complete victory.
Wow.
Okay, let's synthesize all of this deep, detailed log information and apply it to the critical questions we set out to answer.
First, now that they've rescued Gundren Rockseeker, what is the clear objective regarding the larger conspiracy?
The Society has fully uncovered the multi-layered threat. The Black Spider is the mastermind, employing a drow agent and successfully turning a Lord's Alliance contact.
Iron O. Albrecht, or Glassstaff.
And the Black Spider currently has the Dwarven map and is actively pursuing the immense power of the Forge of Spells in Wave Echo Cave.
So the rescue of Gundren is just phase 1. The mission is fundamentally about stopping the destabilization of the region. The Society's new, clear objective is simple. Race the Black Strider to Wave Echo Cave, eliminate the threat, and secure the Forge of Spells before its power can be exploited. It is a full-scale confrontation with a criminal organization of significant reach.
This brings us to the internal dynamics, specifically the tension surrounding the shifty fella. Now that we've seen him in action disarming traps navigating the manor, does his utility outweigh the concerns about his loyalty?
This company is a moral powder keg. You have Cardus, the dwarf paladin who is lawful good, a follower of Helm, the ultimate guardian. His ideal is to defend others and never abandon a friend. But he operates alongside 3 chaotic members, Trafalgar, Yasid, and the shifty fella.
Endrick Foghands, the chaotic good rogue. Cardus is the company's moral core, and he is constantly under strain. He watches Trafalgar lie, he watches Yasid use dark, otherworldly powers, and he watches the rogue employ subtlety, stealth, and occasionally outright thievery.
Anarch is a rogue with a criminal spy background, whose stated ideal is to take the easiest way, and whose core skill is infiltration and discretion. A chaotic alignment rogue, by definition, has unclear motives. He's always looking for the angle, always prepared for the worst. That naturally breeds suspicion.
But his utility is indisputable. The Society's success depends entirely on his ability to be subtle. Think about the Trezendar infiltration using Karp's tunnel, the lock-picking at Cragmaw, and navigating the traps on the Tribor Trail. Without his subtlety, the party would have been resource-depleted or dead long ago.
So he's necessary.
His utility is essential to the structure, even if his motives will always be murky.
So his value to the group's success means his morality is secondary. A necessary evil, perhaps, that the paladin must endure for the sake of the greater good.
Now, for the most difficult question we face as analysts, and one Julian Blackwood would love to see us fail on, can we, Cree and Arn, truly be objective when reporting on the Expeditionary Society?
We've got history, and we admit it. True objectivity is impossible, especially when analyzing a group whose actions have touched your own life.
Look, Arn, you were hired by the Society to deal with a severe wolf problem at my parents' farm. You succeeded and you were paid well. That's a direct financial transaction with the Society.
It was a good job. And you, Cree, had that massive academic issue, the one that resulted in the shifty fella helping you out of a tight spot, a favor that allowed the Society, specifically Yasid, access to the restricted library for his packed research.
We must be vague about the details, but the core fact remains. We owe the shifty fella a massive debt of gratitude, and the Society has directly aided us. That obligation, however subtly applied, must inform our reporting.
We can't deny our bias.
We can't. We can only strive to focus our analysis solely on the results.
And the results are undeniable. The Society's structure works. They treat their team as strategic assets, investing heavily in their needs insurance, the equipment upgrades in Neverwinter. They successfully blend diverse talents, brains, brawn, audacity, and subtlety, and they drove off a dragon, scattered a powerful bandit network, and rescued their employer.
Unparalleled success, confirming that the structure allows them to manage the chaos and achieve the greater good.
Okay, what's the audience saying?
Okay, let's take a moment to hear from the audience before we wrap up via Magic Mail and Super Chats.
I'm curious to hear what the network thinks about Trafalgar's smooth talking.
Our first comes from Borin Axai. You two go on about brains versus brawn from your cozy chairs. Try tracking a dozen goblins for 5 miles after spotting their ambush on the Tribor Trail. Brains spots the black-feathered arrows in the dead horses before you walk into the trap. Brawn is what gets you through the fight when they jump you from the thickets anyway. One without the other just gets your body dragged off the trail like those other poor sods. It's not a debate, it's survival.
I love that analysis. He's right. Boren sees the synergy immediately. You need the rogue's brains, those survival checks, to spot the traps. But you need the barbarian's brawn to clear the cave when the subtlety fails. It's an interconnected web of talent, not a hierarchy.
Our next is from Gwyneth, who zeroes in on Trafalgar's background.
So this Trafalgar Newgate, eh? Just another rich kid whose daddy bought him a company. Lord Newgate and his Expeditionary Society. Sounds like a fancy way to say Nepo baby to me. How much of his audacity is just reckless privilege?
It's hard to deny the privilege. Trafalgar is Lord Newgate from a noble family. He had the financial backing and social status to establish a massive company with contracts and insurance right out of the gate, something most adventurers can only dream of.
But the analysis must center on how he uses that status.
Right.
He leveraged that privilege to create a functioning, profitable organization. His charisma, his ability to negotiate with Grohl, his strategic mind, these are legitimate skills, and he used his wealth to minimize risk through smart investment. The outcome is positive, regardless of the starting point. Next is a deep one, from Sir Kalen the Just. He is a fellow paladin, concerned about Cardus.
Sir Kalen writes, I see a kindred spirit in Cardus of Fairbeard, a fellow paladin, a shield for his company, and its stated moral compass. But by my oath, the company he keeps troubles my soul. He stands beside a bard who spins tales of valor from drunken carelessness for brand management, a warlock who traffics with otherworldly powers, and a thief whose very moniker is shifty. How can a man whose ideal is to defend others for the greater good ally with such chaotic and deceptive forces? I fear his shield will be tarnished not by the blows of his enemies, but by the questionable character of his friends.
That is the central unresolvable tension of the Expeditionary Society. Cardus is lawful good, likely bound by the oath of devotion, which demands honesty, courage, and compassion. How does he reconcile those demands with his leader's tactical lies, his warlock's dark contracts, and the rogue's constant subversion of law?
It's the conflict between means and ends. If the only way to save Gundren, a key member of the Lord's Alliance, and stop the Black Spider from obtaining the Forge of Spells is through Trafalgar's audacious deception, does the greater good excuse the temporary violation of the Paladin's honesty oath?
He is stuck, isn't he? He can't abandon his friends. His oath demands loyalty and protection, but their choices are constantly testing his faith and moral alignment. He's trying to hold on to the lawful structure while operating within a truly chaotic environment.
He is the foundation that allows the chaos to flourish without completely collapsing into criminality. He provides the moral weight necessary to steer the chaotic crew towards good intentions. It's a profound and draining crisis for Cardus.
And finally, a quick one from Vob Tinselwhisker. Great episode. Love this Expeditionary Society. Bummer it ended on a cliffhanger. Keep the stories coming.
We certainly will. The cliffhanger is great. They are off to Wave Echo Cave.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Okay, let's wrap this deep dive with our final key takeaways, summarizing the massive volume of information we've synthesized today.
First, the conspiracy is far larger and more dangerous than initially assumed. The Black Spider is a high-level threat, capable of employing drow agents and successfully infiltrating the Lord's Alliance via the traitor Yarno Ulbrich. The stakes are monumental. A race to prevent a criminal power from seizing control of the legendary Forge of Spells in Wave Echo Cave.
Second, the Expeditionary Society proves Trafalgar's theory. Success requires structured business sense, tactical brains, brute brawn, and the unpredictable element of theatrical audacity.
Right.
Trafalgar's bluff at Cragmaw Castle, securing Gundren's release from King Roll and the Drow agent using only sheer confidence and flattery, is the perfect example of charisma achieving a result that a dozen fireballs might have failed to secure.
It's not just about what you can hit or what you can cast. It's about managing the chaos, making smart strategic investments in preparation, and sometimes telling a really good lie to save the day.
And that leads us directly back to the Paladin's dilemma, the core moral question of this company, which we must leave you with to mull over. Does the Society's success, the greater good achieved, justify its persistent use of deception, its employment of chaotic alignments, and its strategic brand management over traditional heroic honesty?
Can the profitable, efficient family structure of the Expeditionary Society truly withstand the deep-seated moral strain placed on its one lawful member? Can Cardass continue to operate as the lawful good shield while riding in a wagon full of chaos?
We'll be tracking their progress towards Wave Echo Cave and waiting eagerly for the next log update. But for now, that's all we have time for in this deep dive. Thank you for joining us.
If you enjoyed the depth of this analysis, consider joining the Magical Network or dropping a coin into a light crystal. It helps us keep the telecrystal running smoothly.
Next week, we're switching gears for an interview with Professor Kaylin Terranon from the College of Lore on her fascinating work, What Grows Together, Goes Together.
We're going to be exploring monster ecology, how local creatures, environments, and their enemies are interconnected, giving adventurers vital knowledge on how to predict threats. Should be canny.
It's going to be really neat, eh? Until then, stay curious and safe travels.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back.